the Nifty.Show.
And boy, have we got a story for you today on this episode of the Nifty.Show. I'm Joel Comm, and that over there is Zach Comm. Hey, Zach.
Hey, how's it going?
It is going quite well. Now, I think I've told you about this project in the past. You being a hardcore gamer and totally into playing games for fun and creating games for fun, you're really going to be fascinated by our guest here. His name is Jamie Thompson. He is a friend of the show, and he is the CEO of Vulcanverse and Vulcan Forged. Jamie, welcome back to the Nifty.Show, good sir.
Thanks very much for having me, good sirs.
Yeah. We have a room of good sirs.
Yes, wonderful.
If Travis were here, we'd have a chief of humility too, but he's not today. So I have been observing what you have done with Vulcanverse now for I think about 2 years since we first worked with you in an advisory capacity. And let's put on the screen, Chris, while we're talking about the platform, the video that plays on here. And Jamie, if you could just give us a quick overview of what the Vulcanverse is, that would be great.
Yeah, sure. So Vulcanverse is probably our biggest, sort of most ambitious game. Vulcan Forged itself is actually a game studio. I think we've got 14 games now to our roster. I think when we first spoke to you, we only had about 2 or 3, but we've obviously sort of worked rather hard in the background. The trailer you're looking at now was actually made long before we even made the game. So, of course, now we've got a fully working fantasy metaverse. I guess you could sort of call it a sort of Minecraft meets World of Warcraft meets Sandbox, I suppose. And I think user count wise, we're actually the busiest metaverse. I mean, we have more daily users than Sandbox and Decentraland combined. But we're just, I guess we sort of, I wouldn't say we are a bit under the radar still. I mean, we sort of went the very organic route of sort of building up from the grassroots with a small gaming studio and just expanded as we went along. But yeah, so Vulcanverse is, you can terramorph, you can explore, you can quest, you can trade, you can do all the kind of cool things that you'd want to do in a sort of a virtual metaverse. And I guess that's the best summary I could give in it without actually playing it and sort of showing you sort of live cuts of it. It's sort of hard to get a grasp of it.
If I heard you correctly, you said that is the most ambitious, largest scale game, and you have 13 other games under the Vulcan Forged label?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I mean, we've got this Hearthstone game called Berserk. We've got an Auto Battler. And then we sort of slowly moved into sort of more those kind of addictive sort of mobile games at the end of last year, like a Temple Run style game called Vulcan Runner and Tower Defense. Because once you've got the economy down, or we think we've got the economy down, the tokenomics down, it's really a case of just sort of adding sort of games on top of it. I mean, it's a very sort of simple mechanism we have in that if you want to earn money, you sort of you pay the token, but at the end of the day, half of those tokens from everyone who gets paid in gets burned. So the whole play to earn token is sort of deflationary as you go on. So once we've got that sort of model sort of worked out, then it's just a case of just adding games. Or just people, they want to play Vulcan Runner for fun, play it for fun. If you want to enter a sort of 24-hour pool, then you pay a few peer or lava. You see how you get on. The top 50% get the reward, and the other 50% get nothing. So it just sort of keeps this burning mechanism, which I think Axie kind of sort of dropped the ball on a little bit, really. It was not having enough use cases for their tokens. So we were very lucky to sort of see their rise and, I wouldn't say fall, they're still very strong, but they're sort of, their misgivings, as it were.
I think I almost called you Travis. Zach, as you look through this list, it seems that there is a style of game that might be missing here, that perhaps a further conversation would ensue. But great to see the ecosystem growing so much, Jamie. And what I really want to focus on is something that I think is highly useful and instructive for the NFT community and the crypto and play to earn community. And that is, you had something happen back in December that is the worst nightmare that one could expect. Go ahead and tell us, this article posted on the 14th of December of 2021, what happened?
Well, it was probably about 3, 4 in the morning. I mean, I always have my notifications on anyway throughout the night, just because you never know what kind of security issues go. They don't always ping, but from certain staff members, they do ping. So it was at 3, 4 in the morning, got this ping, and it's sort of like, okay, maybe that's a mistake. Then ping, 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 this isn't a mistake. And I was literally sort of, on the way to the bathroom, check the phone, and people were, someone was saying, look at this wallet. And a user had said, listen, the funds have been moved out of my wallet on my Forge, which is our dashboard. So I thought, at first I thought, okay, this is a mistake. Maybe he's, I don't know, transferred it without knowing, his family member, could be anything. It was an isolated incident. And then like a second and a third came in, and one of the admins said, listen, my funds have just been moved out of my Forge. And then just, I guess it's just one of those moments where you just hit utterly in the gut, as if, you've heard something terrible has happened to someone you know. Of course, it's not that dramatic, but of course, you also know your entire baby that you've spent years and blood and sweat and money and baby is just being sucked dry. So we had a look, and literally on chain, we could see that the top 100 wallets, which were stored on, at the time, a sort of semi-centralized system, were being drained one by one throughout, and we were watching it happen in real time, and there was absolutely nothing we could do. And it's just, so at 4 or 5 in the morning, we were waking everyone up, and we sent a message to the community, say, listen, get your funds out onto MetaMask ASAP, do it. But of course, by the time people have got out their funds, and a lot of people were sleeping. I think it was something like I don't know what it was. It was 160. So about 4 million PYR, I think, was taken out, which equated to about 160 million at the time in dollars. And then obviously, as soon as they got it out, they were sending it to Uniswap and just dumping it. And so all we could do was literally just sort of keep everyone updated, and literally as it was happening. And I think that was probably why the community, I guess, didn't panic as much as they should, because instantly we said, well, listen, we're going to pay you all back the money. But first, we have to sort of control the situation. There's going to be selling pressure. You'll get your money back, and we'll get back on the road. But yeah, that's how the incident happened, sort of as it went.
Well, now you like skimmed over that. I want to get further into that, because hacks like this are not uncommon in this Wild West world that we're all operating in. But it's usually a death knell for a project. And here you are, representing this thriving multi-game economy. So how exactly were you able to pay them back the money, pay the users back the money?
Yeah, well, we had the circulating supply, I think, was at 20 million at the time, and the whole supply is 50 million. So we had the treasury. So our plan was to basically deal with the hacker at another point, work out how we're going to replace the funds, track the hacker, all that stuff. First thing to do is just shut everything down and pay them back the PYR from our own money, from our own treasury. So that was the key. So I think that within a day, we had refunded everyone their PYR. So they had the choice to sell there and then if they wanted to. We just thought that was the first thing to do. Forget the treasury, forget the tokenomics, just refund their PYR and go for it. So it was just from our own treasury we did that. And then we started to look into it more and more. And I think there were two big mistakes after that, which made it even worse. The second one was our own fault. We announced a snapshot was going to happen, where whatever PYR you've got in your wallet, you'll get the new peer. We were forking the contract to get the new peer back. Now, obviously, that was one of those stupid mistakes ever, because the hacker obviously read that and thought, well, listen, I've got a limit. I've got like a day or two now before they replace the PYR. I'm going to dump a hell of a load more. So he dumped a load more, and which killed the price. But then the third thing, which was a real kicker, and there's nothing much we could do about this, it wasn't our fault at all, was that Binance obviously closed the withdrawals and deposits. However, there was a loophole where people could still, by this time, the old PYR had dumped to zero because it was worth nothing. So all exchanges had sort of retained value for the new PYR. But there was a loophole that people could still send in the old PYR to Binance, where it was trading at $20, $25. So people were just buying the old PYR for like 0 cents, sending it into Binance and just sort of dumping it at $20 or whatever. And I was waking up the guys at Binance. I was saying, "Listen, this is happening." And no, it's not. It's not. I said, "Yes, it is. You can look at the scan. It's happening." And so even though we swapped the token and locked the hacker out of 3 million of the 4 million tokens he stole, another million of those tokens were dumped onto Binance to make us, only recover half of the to stop, half of the damage, as it were. But yeah.
What I really appreciate is from the very beginning, you were incredibly transparent. If you guys aren't following at Vulcan Forged on Twitter, this is where Jamie and the team tweet regularly about exactly what's happening in the ecosystem. So did you ever catch the information on the hacker?
No, I mean we had I think two high security servers. People scan the servers, and we had a couple of DeFi, some of the biggest DeFi sort of trace DeFi hacking, crypto hacking people trace them, and the whole thing they said was that we know how they did it, but they cover their steps so immaculately that they even hacked one of the wallets in order to use that for the gas to initiate the first hack. What had happened is because we did anyway, used a centralized sort of system of Venly, Arcane, whatever it is, where we can export the wallets our end from the server because we needed to do that way our marketplace transactions would happen. But you couldn't. So they got access to the server through one of the side games. Fine, they've got the access to the wallets and the export of the wallet. However, to export a wallet, you need to Google 2FA. So we thought, okay, that's fine. But then there was this 2FA hack, which also Crypto.com suffered from, where they gave out codes to everyone with just a username with a number at the end of it. So they could just adjust the number each time for each username. So they had all the users 2FA, all the users export API, and then they waited, and they struck, emptied it all, put it all onto Uni and QuickSwap, and then they waited and they sat on it for about 4 or 5 months. And I think it was only last month they started sending it to this Tornado Cash thing or something where it doesn't get tracked or whatever. But yeah, there was unfortunately no recovery.
But what allowed you to bring the economy back sort of after the dust settled? Because you had to take all these steps while you were hunting down the hacker, and you were incentivizing the community to hunt them down, while you were refunding out of the treasury that Vulcan Forged had. Obviously, that was going to be a huge negative sentiment around the currency. With that happening, people losing faith in the value of it, and then the value just straight up decreasing. How were you able to bring it back?
Yeah, well, I think the first key was that not only did we refund the PYR, which is easy, we also refund because the guy or girl, whatever, stole a lot of sort of Matic, ETH, USDT from these wallets. We did replace all of those out of our own pocket, so we did lose $1 million of our own money, about 800,000 or something, just to pay them back. So that was the first thing to say, okay, these guys just aren't going to disappear after the hack, which we could have, and a lot of companies have by those things. Mm-hmm. And then it was just a lot of. I always make the joke about the information minister in the Iraq War, who was just like there at the TV camera saying, no, the Americans aren't invading, they're not here. And you can see these tanks rolling in the background, So, this is an utter denial. So we had to put a bit of a brave face on that, saying, listen, we're not going anywhere, things going to be fine, we carry on building. And we were carrying on building. But all we could do was just update the truth and consistently and frequently. And we got a lot of compliments about this, but we didn't realize that wasn't the norm. As I said, we're not a crypto company, really. So we just assumed, of course, you're going to refund people if they get hacked. We didn't know that people get hacked and they run away. But I couldn't, number one, I couldn't sleep with myself. Number two, the company would be dead. It was horrific. It was a ruined Christmas. But all we carried on doing was carry on building. And it was important for the users to see that we carried on building. Okay, there was a week or two of just reassurances and, sort of tweets to say everything's okay when maybe it wasn't. But we kept putting things out ASAP so people knew we're not going anywhere. And we weren't, and we're not. And we've got through the worst of it, really. I mean, I remember Bitcoin was at 70K last year, and we were only at $3. Bitcoin's at 40K now, and we're back up to 13. And I think a lot of people, not forgotten, but I think they've forgiven at least, and they know we readjust our security and we're back on the road.
Well, you built an amazing amount of trust, and like I said, I've watched this, and I was messaging you as you were doing it. You were,
yeah,
recognizing that this is really professional. And yeah, during the late run of last year, Pyre got up to $44-$45, and even now with the markets down, this is pretty strong for a platform that has been hacked and stolen. This indicates to me a lot of faith. And full disclosure, we have been working with you guys for a couple of years now. I hold Pyre, so I believe Travis does as well. I play the game. I was going to pull it up here and just walk through the world a little bit, but it's updating, so I can't do it right now while we're doing this. But I'm in the game. I think I've got close to 7,000 XP.
Oh, impressive.
Close to unlocking my lava. So maybe let's shift from the hack here in the last bit and talk a little bit about particular the Vulcan Forged, the verse experience, and this new token that's earning, because one's a governance token and one's the earn token, right?
Right, for sure, yeah. So PYR is your standard settlement token. You use it to stake and buy things and put in land. And Lava is, I guess, our equivalent of SLP. And as I said before, we learned from a few mistakes to sort of make sure that there's a minimum amount generated every day. We don't just pump it out infinite wise. You have to sort of earn a limited amount, a specific amount of XP before you can withdraw the Lava. And there's multiple use cases for Lava. So this keeps the value of Lava sustainable. And of course, we've got our own blockchain of Lithium coming, where Lava is going to be the gas for the blockchain. So there'll always be a constant demand for Lava, which I think is, it's not actually the brightest idea. It's pretty simple thing to implement. But I guess I said we've learned from other mistakes. So yeah, so that's where we are. And Vulcanverse, I mean, it's only been in development really for 8-9 months, Vulcanverse. So a lot of people come in and go, oh, this isn't World of Warcraft yet, this isn't that and the other. Well, no, it's not. I mean, the landforming, the terramorphing tool of it itself separates it from Minecraft. I mean, it is one of the best assets. But it's funny, I always talk about in these interviews like how hard it is to sort of combine the idea of the concept of play to earn and gaming. And I still don't believe they're a match made in heaven. And I think they're very opposing forces of the human psyche and the technical implementation. The minute you stick in earnings, it becomes a very different world for people. And you've got two choices, and you put a good game in it. People don't care about earning, so you've got to come in and say, listen, people are in Vulcanverse to earn, or are they in there to game? Because the minute you put real money in there, you'll find people don't care about the gaming so much. So we're kind of embracing that a little bit more now. In fact, yes, Vulcanverse is an open world economy, but let's make it fun in doing so. So you can go to a bank where a goblin trades with you, and you can stake things in the treasury, and you can find chests and open them, and you can fish for NFTs. But yeah, it's a very sort of hard square to circle, those two different concepts, but we are trying.
That has been the number one issue that every single play to earn property is facing, because they're trying to just jam an investment mentality and a gaming mentality together. And those are two mutually exclusive different groups of people.
Absolutely.
That they're trying to marry. And it seems like the direction that things are going as the space is maturing is you can have that product, but then you have features that are dedicated towards that investment mentality, and then you have other features that are dedicated towards the gaming mentality. And it sounds like that's what you're sort of getting at here.
Exactly. Yes. I mean, we had a big thing about, because the Vulcanite fighting system right now, it's not incredibly good, and we're thinking, well, okay, let's change the Vulcanite fighting system to be a bit more like you step out into an arena and you strategize and you make it a thing. And we thought, well, no, that's not what people want. Let's be honest. 90% of the arena that are there, they're just fighting to win a bit of XP. So let's just take advantage of that and say, okay, let's just make it visually more appealing. It doesn't have to be some complex strategy game. There are other games that can do that. Quests are fun, but they're only going to do them if they're motivated to win XP and win Lava. So I think that was the light bulb moment for me, is that you don't have to marry the two. You're not going to marry the two. It's why a lot of crypto games are so crap, because people just care about the earnings. They can get away with lack of gameplay, and that's why the gamers don't really embrace the NFTs and crypto, because they have the most incredible AAA studio games where they play for enjoyment. And I bet you if you stuck in earning into Fortnite or any of the bigger games out there, the whole energy and dynamic would change. And I think a lot of the enjoyment for the children and the adults, it would destroy the model. So I don't know if play to earn is here, is a competitor to gaming yet. And gaming is a 4 billion market. Play to earn is very new, infancy, and I don't know if it's been proven. I think what is for sure is that there's this third demographic emerging now of the idea of ownership and being in a virtual economy within a game. And that is new, and it's fascinating. And a lot of people who play Vulcanverse weren't gamers. They're not crypto people. It's it's older people, it's younger people. It's not the usual gaming crowd or crypto crowd. So I think that's the demographic we're focusing on, because owning something is really, really cool. I mean, that NFT thing is a real thing. We built the Vulcanverse around people in alpha, where like wigs were coming off avatars and wolves were stuck in grass, and it was all over the shop. But people didn't care because they own that wolf and they own that sword. And that emotional attachment to assets is something you won't get in normal games. So yeah, if we can take advantage of that and push it forward, I think onto a winner.
Joel, you're muted.
So I am. Rufus decided to bark, so I muted. He saw some golfers out back and wanted to let the world know they were on his golf course. So as we close out here, you are getting ready to do an event here in Athens. How appropriate. Talk briefly about what Vulcan 2 is.
Absolutely, and you guys are very much invited. We've got only 50 tickets left. There's 500 capacity. It's absolutely rammed. But we've got the Zapion, which is an enormous Vulcan City-looking hall. We've gone all out on this. We've got holograms, light shows. The Olympic drummers from the Greek Olympics are there. We've got 10 speakers from coming in from all the different projects coming to Elysium. It's a real good event, and obviously it's costing us a hell of a lot. But I think it's great to sort of show we're here, we're back. Put the brand, get some good marketing out of it, a bit of brand awareness, and show, this is the way where we're going. But if you guys would love to join, and you'll be more than welcome. There's a few VIP passes. I'm sure I could swing your way.
Well, appreciate that. That's very generous of you. I think isn't this the same time that NFT NYC is taking place, though? I think in New York.
Oh, is it? Oh, right.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're speaking there, but appreciate the gracious invite and appreciate you coming on and sharing with us. I just know, as people on the show have heard me say many times, I tend to look at this industry from the future, looking back and seeing the track record. You do. I mean, we know where we're going.
And we've got to stop these whole sort of superlatives of saying, "Oh, we're the biggest, we're a competitor to the gaming industry." Let's be honest; it's all new, and no one really knows what they're doing at this stage.
Well, we're figuring it out. Jamie, thanks again, and hang out for a second there in the green room. Zach, impressive stuff, huh?
Yes, and especially the insights that he's supplying about the sorts of demographics that are participating in play to earn, in what play to earn really means on the grander stage of digital entertainment and the new standard for asset ownership.
Well, there you go, gang. Check it out for yourself. vulcanverse.com, vulcanforged.com is the place to go. We will catch you on the next episode, and until then,
keep it nifty.
Looking into the future, what do we see? It's lined with digital collectibles, we call them NFTs. Games, trading cards, digital art, and those crypto kitties. Joel and Zach are the hosts, you'll know. Joel and Zach say this will blow. They're locked and loaded, so ready, set, go! It's the Nifty, really kind of spiffy. The Nifty.